Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing today? My name is Matt Jarbo. Welcome to Three Buck Theater. And again, this is more of an off-the-cuff rant, just something I want to talk about here on this Friday evening. It's been a long week for me, work, a death in the family, and hasn't been a lot of good news, really. Not a lot of good news overall. But this news right here about Nick Fury, Sam Jackson getting his own show on Disney Plus is good news, in my opinion. It's actually really fantastic news for a number of reasons. But first, let's kind of talk about what this is. So the story was broke originally by Variety, which is saying that Nick Fury TV show is in the works and that Jackson will in fact be returning to don the character's eye patch once again. It's going to be written and executive produced by Kyle Bradsheet, who was a producer on Mr. Robot. And he is going to take over this show. And he says the exact plot details of the show right now are being kept under wraps. But the outlet does report, this is Variety, that this will in fact be Mr. Jackson's first time on a TV show as a regular. Because he did have a cameo, I think, at the season finale of the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And he's popped up here and there, I think, on other things. But overall, he's never really been a regular. Now, this is probably for a couple of reasons. One, he was one of the first people to take a look at what Marvel was doing, to take a look at what Kevin Feige was doing through Marvel Studios, and realize that, yeah, there is some serious money here. There is some serious money that's going to be coming down the pipeline. Sam Jackson, he ain't getting any younger. The dude's getting up there in years. You know, he's getting up there to the point of where he can't do a lot of the action stuff that he used to do back in the day. 1990s Sam Jackson, with Die Hard with a Vengeance and The Long Kiss Goodnight, amongst other films, simply isn't there anymore. Even 2006's Snakes on a Plane, Sam Jackson isn't there anymore. We're talking about later in life Sam Jackson. So he wants to work. So why not take a paycheck where he gets to go and work for Disney Plus, reviving a character that hasn't really been seen much in the last couple of years outside of the god-awful Captain Marvel movie. Sorry. Very mediocre. Oh my God, why did this movie happen the way that it happened, Captain Marvel? I can only hope that the sequel is going to be better. But I would also say that we're probably not going to get Sam Jackson in the Captain Marvel 2 sequel outside of maybe a cameo. But when I talk about this being a good thing, when I talk about this being a really good thing, here's the reason why. It keeps Jackson working. And it really does. And that's the key right there is I love Sam Jackson. I have my entire life. I've always been a fan of Sam Jackson. So I'm really happy to see when he ends up coming out and doing something. I will go and I'll check it out. But also his career has kind of taken a bit of a backseat recently. We're not seeing him pop up in as many movies. He's not headlining as many things. And he's probably realizing that as he gets closer to 70, which I think he's probably really close to that right now, if he's not over that, he's kind of coming to the end of his line. And that's not a bad thing, by the way. I'm not trying to sit there and attack him or diminish his importance and anything like that. But this gives him something to do. And right now, with the current pandemic, the current situation, look, in my mind, the elderly are quite frankly the most susceptible. And they are for a number of reasons, not just because of the virus itself, but because of the isolation and the lack of things to do. Now, Sam Jackson's not like my grandfather, who's the one who recently passed away. Well, he passed away yesterday. You know, he was isolated for months because of this situation. And that's not what ultimately killed him. But it was something that greatly diminished his desire to live. And so when he was ill, he just kind of was like, all right, like I'm going to ride out the clock. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to like connect the two together. This is where my mind is at. So I just want to be honest with you guys. And so giving him something to do is going to keep him active, which is going to keep him busy and it's going to keep him around for a while. And I think at the end of the day, that's really what I want is Sam Jackson to not go anywhere. Cause I'm a huge Sam Jackson fan. I love the man to death and I just want to see him work. That's one angle of it. Another angle of it is Marvel realizes right now, I think Feige is really realizing right now that the current state of Hollywood is drastically changed. It is forever changed because of COVID. So they've got to still think of ways to create content that's going to generate buzz, generate revenue, and generate future stories. So having Sam Jackson take on the mantle of Nick Fury in a TV show is a good idea because it allows them to then do what they want to do with the Marvel television side of things on Disney Plus, which is introduce new characters and launch their careers into the MCU. We know that movie theaters going forward are probably only going to rely on blockbusters, so smaller films may not get that seen. And Hollywood, or I should say Marvel and all these other companies, they're not going to want to spend time on an origin for maybe a lesser known character that may not pull in the kind of money they're going to need to warrant the expense of pushing out that kind of movie. So it's one of those weird things where it's like where we are right now, they're positioning themselves to have this show be probably a greater springboard into the cosmic side of the MCU. So when I talk about that, what I mean is we are going to be, it's been rumored we're going to be getting a Nova movie. That's been talked about now for, I think, a little over a year. It's a lot of other things are going to be happening on the cosmic side of Marvel, especially now that we're getting into the multiverse and we're getting into X-Men and all that stuff. King the Conqueror for X-Men, for Ant-Man 3. All of these things are going to be coming down the pipeline potentially, right? Potentially. So it makes sense to establish a launching pad and to establish a central focal point for those stories. The end of Spider-Man Far From Home showed the sword base. We all know what it is. We know that it's the sword base. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. just wrapped up. There's been a rumor going around since last year, first reported by Mikey Sutton, that Daisy Johnson, Chloe Bennett from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., would be moving her character Quake over to Agents of S.W.O.R.D. And that's, again, something that's been talked about time and time and time again over the span of the last year. And with this news today coming out, it's only further exemplifying that rumor, or further confirming that rumor. And that's how I think people are going to take it. So when you think about Sam Jackson coming in and Sam Jackson playing this part, and you think about everything else that's going on and how the world is changing and what entertainment's going to be doing to catch up, this is actually going to be amazing. Think of it like this. It's going to be a deep space platform in order to be able to bring in characters like Nova and maybe Quake and other characters that they want to launch into the mainstream and give them a home first, to ease audiences into them, to make sure that they're going to be investing their money in the right way, and further expanding upon the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the way that fans are going to demand now that Marvel has basically everything except for Spider-Man characters, and not a lot of those are cosmic. So, on that side of things, I think it's going to be very interesting to see where they go. And I also think that in some respects, James Gunn working on the Peacemaker show for HBO Max, and how HBO Max is also going to be investing into these particular stories, like J.J. Abrams working on, the Constantine and Zatanna show that's going to run parallel to Justice League Dark show on HBO Max. That was a rumor that was reported on today. Marvel's going to be doing the same thing, but they're going to be trying something that's a lot more cohesive and what feels a lot more pragmatic in regards to expanding their universe rather than kind of starting over again, which is what I think ultimately HBO Max is doing. So this is the world where we find ourselves, and why I think that doing a Nick Fury show is pretty damn fantastic. The whole thing is interesting to me. What we're going to see out of this is going to be Sam Jackson back as Nick Fury, who's been largely sidelined for many, many, many years. Even Captain Marvel, he was good, but he lost his eye to a cat. I mean, he lost his eye to a flirkin. And still, so many people out there can't forgive that because it was so stupid. And here's the thing, guys. It was absolutely positively stupid. It was absolutely terrible. And it didn't need to be there in this damn movie. But it was, because that's the crap hole we work at. Anyway, I do want to hear your guys' thoughts on this one. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this. Let me know down in the comment section. Do me a favor. Head on over to facebook.com/groups/3Buck Theater. Get in on the action over there. I'm pretty active on that forum. And you guys can post your thoughts and your theories and your opinions and your own news and things like that. And I do want to hear you guys' thoughts here as well. I'll talk to you all later. Have yourself a great night. Thank you again for watching.